Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. Real Estate Coaching Radio is the nation's #1 daily radio show for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Get ready for fluff-free, unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what's truly working to get you into action, helping others, and making money now in today's real estate market. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we are back. It is December the 15th. Julie,
Yes.
There's 10 days before Christmas.
I know.
I still haven't bought you anything for Christmas yet.
Nice confession.
Well,
in front of many listeners.
Well, but
now
it's-
I have witnesses.
Well, I did. I bought you some more exercise clothes, but you saw the box come, so that's no big surprise.
That's all right.
You know,
Yours
but
is already on the table and wrapped.
the
but
trend
it's okay.
with me buying you presents is that I'm buying you stuff that
you
I'm
like.
buying for you, not necessarily buying stuff that I'm buying for the sake, like for my enjoyment mostly.
I
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
clear. Yeah. Yep, that's okay.
Maybe that's, we're going to be married 30 years this year. Well, next year.
I do indeed.
Oh, no, listeners, not to the same people. We've been married.
Hilarious.
Julie's been married 6 times before.
That I can recall. Anyway.
No, that's the joke.
You can tell we're getting a little slap happy this time of year because, it's 10 days till Christmas and we're on the final stretch of 2020, which is
I
incredible.
should finish the joke, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because otherwise people are going to think we're
They're
serious.
Googling it right now.
Yeah, when we go out to dinner, because it's so unusual to run into anybody that's been married for 30 years, that aren't like 177. So when we tell people we've been married for 30 years, they always look at us like we're lying or something. And then just sort of break the tension. It's my joke. Julie, I guess, doesn't really particularly enjoy it, but I think it's funny. I'll say, oh, no, not to the same people.
Not to each other.
Not to each other. Oh, we've been married dozens
We're
of times.
talking cumulative.
And then the key is, if you really want to pull off the joke, is not say anything. You got to let it sit. You got to let it stew. Yes. And I would say 50% of the time they think we're serious.
Yeah, uncomfortable silence.
Anyway, so a mental note, if any of you ever go out to dinner with Julie and I probably will play that trick on you. So now
you know the truth.
you just play along. All right, so it's the business planning, life planning time of year. And I'm very excited about the shows for the next week or so. And then we are going to probably be taking some downtime. We'll probably just do some podcasts just for fun to keep ourselves frosty. But at the end of the day, this is the time of year when you need to be gathering your wits, putting your business plan together, and getting ready for next year. And as Julie and I have been hopefully impressing upon you, there will not be a month or 2 long reprieve as we roll into the new year, as there typically is in the real estate markets. Julie and I are seeing every indication, and guess where we see it and hear it from? All of you guys, podcast listeners, coaching clients. Yep. There might be obviously there'll be a slowdown between Christmas and New Year's, maybe a week here or a week there. But after that, the market's going to pick up with as much, fury as it's been, as we've been experiencing for the last 12 months. And from there, we have every reason to believe it's going to continue to ascend. And we are working on I've been warning you guys about this, but we're working on a podcast about our predictions. And probably I wrote down 10, and I wrote these down probably about a month and a half ago, and I've only kept 3 because things have been changing so rapidly with regards to, just different things will have a direct, effect on your real estate businesses, like interest rates and Fed policy. I mean, one of the things that was wackadoodle, the Fed came out and said they're having the plans to keep rates low through 2023. So, okay, if you know for sure rates are going to be low for 2023, and we can all agree to some degree that low interest rates have a direct bearing on the fluidity of the real estate markets, well, that tells me, and should tell all of you, that for at least the next few years, we're going to have a brilliant real estate market. And a lot of other reasons, too, that we're going to be talking about on that podcast. So listen in. That'll probably be something we do next week. Now, for those of you who have yet to download your 2021 business plan, we've made it easy for you. All you've got to do is text 2021 to 855-685-1045. Just text 2021 to 855-685-1045. And we will text you back a link. And with that link, you click on the link, and then it'll take you to a website that is not public facing, so you can't find this without doing the texting routine I just told you about. And then you can download the Real Estate Treasure Map. The Real Estate Treasure Map, Think and Grow Rich for Real Estate. And there's 6 other books that you get for free. The 2 that I absolutely positively, beg for all of you to take seriously and print off immediately is the Real Estate Treasure Map and Think and Grow Rich for Real Estate. They really do work perfectly together. And the Real Estate Treasure Map is what we're walking you through and mentally conditioning you to complete the plan. So that's what we've been doing for the last week or so. A couple quick announcements. Mrs. Harris has just agreed this morning. Do you remember what you agreed to this morning?
No, I don't. I'm waiting for you.
Oh, you
to tell
don't?
me.
Well, here's your hint right here.
Oh, yes. Big
Okay,
project.
so are you going to commit to it? Say it out loud.
Yeah, I want to.
Say it out loud.
We are custom designing your planners. Okay, now a lot of you guys do all sorts of different planners. Everybody's asking. I had a bunch of calls, a bunch of questions on Premier Coaching about time management and scheduling, and what's the best tool, and how do I keep myself on track? And self-confessed, I'm a terrible scheduler. Well, I'm going to fix that for you.
How about that?
And I'm going to make it very specific to not just real estate professionals, but people that get it and understand that there are certain daily minimum standards and want to keep themselves on track and be accountable without going completely analytically crazy. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be very useful.
And here's how we're going to do it. In January, we're going to start we did this a few years ago, and a lot of you said it was instrumental in the launch of your year. So we're going to do this again. I don't honestly know why we didn't do it the years after that, mostly probably because we were too busy. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching a 90-day, I did tell you about this, right? A 90-day mastermind. And Julie and I are going to do it ourselves. So this is going to be a mastermind. It's not going to be real estate training. It's going to be about goal setting, goal accomplishment. It's going to be about mindset. It's going to be about all the essentially the lubricants that keep your machine moving forward, the mental lubricants. That's how we're going to help all of you start the year. And the content for that is going to be, we're going to release a new segment to the planner during the duration of the program, which is going to last 3 months. The program is probably going to cost like $300. We're putting the final touches on it now, but you get the gist of it. So if you're wanting to have a big jolt of motivation rolling into next year, that is going to be maybe something you should consider. We'll be talking about that in January. Just heads up, that's something you can look forward to. It's not going to be real estate training, so we're not going to be talking about the things we normally love talking about. No scripts, no objection handlers, no presentations, no pre-listing pack, no nothing other than the stuff to help you get your mindset in the right place and essentially make it so that it syncs up with your goals and you can move forward with a very clear and definite purpose. And like I said, Julie's going to be creating this planner that's going to carry you through the rest of the year. So I'm really excited to do it. But here's the problem with doing it. What do you think the probability of us not getting pressured from our clients to continue that throughout the whole year? What do you?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all right.
But that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll just continue doing it.
That's the point of it, is to get them into action and have some level of accountability and to keep them on track.
And I'll tell you guys where the motivation for that came in. It was thinking about when Julie and I started going to Orange Theory years ago. Now we moved to Puerto Rico, so we don't go anymore because there's no Orange Theories here. Well, at least not local to us. Yeah. And I remember all the people that had joined in the beginning of the year in January, that is the beginning of the year in case you forgot. And they stopped going in like April or May. Yeah. And I was shocked by the number of people that dropped off. And I thought to myself, well, that kind of makes sense because that's when basically people run out of motivation. So our goal is to make it so that you guys don't run out of motivation. You actually build momentum with your launching being 2021, build it for the next 2 or 3 years. That's how you've got to start thinking about, I think, the opportunity that's in front of us with regards to this incredible real estate market. Yes,
and one of the most common things that I'm hearing right now as we do the treasure map with a lot of coaching clients is that their desire to be, they call it more consistent, where they'll have ebbs and flows, which is normal in real estate, but they'll have a slew of pendings. And because they're managing their pendings, they get off of their daily minimum standards, right? So the planner is going to have questions every day reminding you to keep your head screwed on straight, that even when you have lots of pendings, or especially when you have lots of pendings, your number one job as a real estate professional is to create new business every day. So I'm designing it to keep them on track with the things that make their business run.
And one last announcement, and then we're going to get to Julie's next set of points with regards to the real estate treasure map. I was reminded today by, I'll tell you who actually told me this, Juan Ventura. in Chicago that we've not been doing a very good job of reminding all of you that Julie and I are associated with eXp Realty, and that we need to be doing a better job of reminding all of you that we are, and that indeed we are interested in sponsoring you in eXp Realty. There will be thousands, if not tens of thousands. eXp Realty is the greatest success story in the real estate brokerage industry, if not the whole real estate industry, at least in our careers. The number of agents joining, it's 40,000 by the end of this year, probably 100,000 by the end of next year. eXp just opened up in Mexico, France, Portugal. This company is like nothing we've ever seen before. We got involved 2 years ago. It was probably one of the top, well, no, it's definitely one of the top 3 business decisions that we ever made. And I know a lot of you have been exposed to eXp on your own, maybe watch some videos or just come across the information, and you've probably learned how important it is to choose the right sponsor. The right sponsor is, after you've chosen to join eXp, choosing who's going to be your sponsor is critical. Don't just look for the local, agent or things like that. You got to look for somebody who's actually going to help you sponsor agents, going to shepherd you along the path in your real estate career. It's an incredibly important decision because if you choose the wrong sponsor, somebody who's not actually sponsoring a lot of agents, someone who's actually not in action trying to help others do the same, chances are you're going to hit a brick wall with regards to building your own revenue share group. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can connect with me. But for those of you who are ready to join eXp and you're looking for the perfect sponsor, we hope you would consider us. And you can text me directly at 512-758-0206. And that's if you're ready to join eXp. Just text me directly at 512-758-0206. Again, when you're ready to join eXp, or if you just are ready to have the eXp conversation, I can help you too. But for those of you who are serious and you're ready to choose the right sponsor, we'd certainly appreciate it if you consider us. 512-758-0206. All right, Mrs. Harris.
Yes, so at this point in your treasure map, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, get caught up on previous podcasts. We've been in that zone for quite some time. You should have gone through a lot of the financial piece. You should know something about your magic number. And now the question du jour. All right, I know what my numbers have to be in order to meet or exceed my monthly requirements, including not just keeping the lights on, but my very most important goals. How will I achieve it? Or sometimes you guys will ask, who should I be calling? How do I lead generate? How do I come up with those listings? Who am I supposed to talk to?
Shall we do the wheels and the wheels?
Sure, you can do
we'll
that.
do the spokes analogy relatively quick.
Of it.
Right, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but here it is. Visualize. Well, what we actually have you do if you're doing a live event with us is we have you draw a circle, and then we have you draw a hub or a small circle inside the big circle, right? And you're going to create what's going to look like a spoked wheel. And then what we want you to do is we want you to draw 7 spokes. And then we want you to label what each, like how many sources of business you have. Or
spokes are sources of business.
Right. So a spoke represents a source of business. And we want you to ideally have 7 different spokes. And the idea is the more spokes you have on your wheel, the stronger the wheel is. And having done this 1,000 times, the typical spoked wheel that agents create is they'll draw the whole wheel thing, and then they'll draw one spoke, and they'll call it centers of influence and past clients. Yep. And that's their only spoke. In other words, they have no other reliable sources of business. And so if you ask yourself what's a reliable source of business, I would say centers of influence and past clients is not exactly reliable, but it's certainly better than Facebook ads.
And it's usually what people start with.
Right. It's a great place to think. Yeah. We always tell you to start with your centers of influence and past clients. Absolutely. But beyond that, you should be adding proactive lead generation spokes, not spokes, for example, where you have to buy the business and things like that. And we teach you that in Harris Rules, our book. It's available on Amazon and all these bookstores, and obviously in our coaching program as well. But when you're trying to think of why your business sometimes it has ebbs and flows with regards to production and cash flow, it's because you don't have enough spokes, or the things that you maybe are telling yourself as a spoke isn't truly strong enough to be a spoke. And again, that goes back to, for example, direct mail postcards, branding, all these other things you guys do that are sold to you with the idea that one day somehow magically the clouds will part and you'll get business from it, and it never happens, and then you're just told to keep on doing it even though you in your heart of hearts know that it's never going to work. Well, that's not a spoke. A spoke is something that actually has historically generated closed transactions for you. Not one transaction, but multiple transactions. If you're new in the business, the proactive spokes are the ones that you should be focusing on. And what you'll discover is after you build the proactive spokes and you put those on your wheels, notice the defaults, FSBOs, expireds. By the way, expireds, the biggest day in expired prospecting is coming up on January 1st. It's that way every single year. If you look at statistics in your MLS, you'll see most listings that are going to expire on January 1st, because that's how agents and brokers set their listings to expire. So if you've ever wanted to have an advantage in the marketplace, pick up the phone, start prospecting the first week in January, because you could actually build enough listing leads in that first week in January that you could set yourself up for the rest of the year. And we have plenty of coaching clients that are going to do that every single year. When Julie and I sold real estate, that's what we did too. That first maybe 2 weeks in January, we worked our asses off while all the other agents were sleeping off their New Year's Eve overindulgences. That's right.
Yeah, honestly, to ignore that factoid that Tim just laid upon you, I think it's like saying, oh no, I'm not interested in dealing with people who have already demonstrated a willingness to list, whose price has already been proven to probably be a little bit off. Listings that you already know a lot about, oh no, they can take care of themselves. So if that's going to be your attitude, don't come to us saying, where do I get business? It's crazy to ignore that fact that there's so many expireds happening on January 1st. Now, the other thing on January 1st is, everybody's home, so you're going to be able to make a lot more contact. There's that. So when we talk about spokes in the wheel, Tim, I often will get into a discussion with coaching clients, making sure that they understand that not all spokes have the same contact ratios, right? So, for example, yes, we believe in you having a strong center of influence in past client spoke. Most people do. Most of our grizzled veterans do because they've had so many past clients. And yes, of course, that's got to be a strong spoke. But here's the thing. There are two categories of lead generation in terms of people to be speaking with, to be prospecting. You have, in one bucket, people who you already know. That's your past clients. That's your centers of influence and maybe your professional center of influence. Here's the thing. These people are super easy to talk to. We have the Ford script, for example, super easy to talk to. They know, love, and trust you. You've done deals with them. You've been friends with them. They're your neighbors. They're easy, right? By and large, these are easy conversations, especially when you learn the Ford script.
And by the way, the Ford script aside, Julie, the real effective way to call your centers of influence and past clients, call, is to call. Right? Digital stuff and passive stuff is not going to be as effective. But one of the scripts that we wrote years ago, and there's a whole bunch of them, are essentially is this: ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Julie, this is Tim Harris.
Hey, Tim, how's it going?
Great. So listen, first of all, I'm calling to wish you happy holidays.
Oh, yeah, you as well.
Yeah. So listen, I've been getting a lot of calls from a lot of, my friends, family, people I know, love, and care about, and they're all asking me about what's going on in the real estate market.
Yeah, geez, it seems crazy. What is going on in the real estate business?
Exactly. And so that's the reason I'm calling everybody to give them a quick snapshot of what's happening in the real estate market so they don't have to worry about what's going on with their home value.
Yeah.
And I have your report ready for you right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
What a nice surprise.
So according to the MLS, as of today, actually, in your neighborhood is Oakhurst subdivision, and in case you didn't know these numbers, there's 5,000 homes in your community, and there's currently 400 houses for sale, and last month 200 houses sold. So that is a very strong seller's market, because what that is telling us, assuming no new listings were to come available, there's only a 2 months of supply of homes for sale.
Yeah, it does seem crazy. I see a sign go up, and then it seems like it's pending the next day.
Exactly. By the way, do you know of anyone who's thinking about buying or selling that I should be helping?
Well, I'm kind of trying to think about it a little bit, knowing all this.
Excellent. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to go ahead and work on a CMA, and I'll drop that off. I'll actually email it to you. I can drop it off, and then I'll get you started answering your questions. Actually, you know what? I have a better idea for you.
Yeah.
Once this property were to sell, where would you go next?
We're thinking about maybe building somewhere, maybe buying something new. We're getting kind of tired of this old house.
Let's not say building, Julie. Let's say moving up to Smithville.
All right. I want to, we're going to move into Smithville schools. We really feel like we need to get over there.
I don't blame you. That's a great area. So you're telling me right now, if you were to find the right house that checked all the boxes in Smithville, you'd probably want to have your house for sale?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let's do this. What are you guys doing this Saturday at like 1:30 p.m.?
We'll probably be hanging out at home.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop by, and I'll present to you the CMA. I'll show you what the house is worth, and then we can create let's say a 90-day plan so that you can find a place in Smithville. I'll show you what I'm going to do to help you find a place in Smithville, and then we can basically time putting your house for sale so you only have to move once. Does that sound good?
If you can make that happen for us, I'd be very interested in hearing about it.
All right, perfect. Now, obviously, not all of them go that well.
Some
right?
of them do, though.
Some of them do.
If you won't know if you don't make the calls.
That's right. And so if Julie had said, go back and say, so I'm going to go back and ask my question. Don't be a lead. So Julie, that's the update on your house. Would you like me to do a more in-depth CMA for you and drop it off at your house?
No, I kind of feel like we're going to be here a long time.
Okay.
I'm not really, I appreciate it, but no, I'm not really into that right now.
Totally appreciate it. So let me ask you a real quick question.
Sure.
Do you know of anybody who's thinking about buying or selling in this market that I could be helping?
Well, my company, I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's a few people that have been laid off, and they're kind of thinking about downsizing or maybe even moving out of state.
Now, that will be obviously a lead you can chase, listeners. But the flip side to that is that she probably, you're going to hear 50% of the time, no, I don't know.
I might say, no, nobody comes to mind right now, Tim.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So listen, I'm going to call you this same time next month, and I'll give you another quick update on your house.
Great.
If you happen to stumble across anybody who you think I should be helping in this market, I would really appreciate if you pass their name along.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I'll talk to you next month. If you need me for anything, you got my number.
You got it. Happy New Year.
There you go. So those are the calls. Now, so the key to making this work is keep it short. And have some sort of quick snapshot of their home's value, like I said.
You're giving them value.
Right.
You're not just calling to say, hey, how's it going?
And I'm also asking, I started out by saying, I'm calling the people that I know, love, and care about. So they're psychologically saying, well, I must be in one of those categories.
It's a compliment.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I made them feel good. And it's true, because you do know, love, and care about your past clients, don't you? Yes, you do. And because people are concerned or worried about their home's value. So I've identified them as someone I care about. I've identified a problem that they may or may not have, and I have a solution. And already this call is going to go perfectly because of the fact that I'm just giving. And then I'm telling them giving a quick snapshot on what the home's value is, which is a generalized, opinion of value. I'm asking them if they want to do a more in-depth CMA. If Julie had said, yeah, that'd be great, if you could just send one over, then I'd say, okay, well, perfectly. So it sounds like you guys are maybe playing with the idea of putting your house for sale. Then I'd pivot and have a seller conversation. But you can do this very low level, very easy to have conversation with your centers of influence and past clients. And what we prescribe to all of you is, notice I said I'll call you this same time next month and give you a quick snapshot. So what I did is I set the expectation that I'm then going to call them back this time next month, and then I'm going to give them another quick snapshot, and the call is going to go virtually the same. Now here's what you'll discover. Statistically, you're not going to get any leads for the first call and the second call, so 2 months goes by. But then what they're going to start doing is essentially being your little local emissary, and you'll have a handful of people, usually 10%, that will consciously start looking for people that they could refer to you.
Yeah, they'll be ready for your call.
Right. They'll anticipate it.
Yeah.
Because they are appreciating the fact that you're actually being someone who does what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it, and you're delivering value to them. And notice the last little clincher I gave you guys. It was, oh, by the way, whom do you know, or who do you know, who's thinking about buying or selling real estate in this market that I should be helping, right? Who's going to
always forget to do that part.
Well, of course, but who's going to find that question offensive, right?
Now, let me,
nobody.
From your coach, I have to point something out.
Yes, dear.
Because you're used to doing this. It's who do you know? It's not do you know?
Right.
It's whom do you know?
Right.
Because that causes thought. If you say, do you know anyone, it causes no thought, and the initial reaction is, nope, nobody comes to mind.
So one of the clinchers also, if you want to be, and this is the way I personally did it when I prospected, I'd say, who are the 2 or 3 people you know who I should be helping in this market, buy or sell a home, or some iteration of that, giving them an actual number, and that will make an impact too, because then their brains are immediately going to go to thinking of 2 or 3 people, or they'll try to think of 3 people, but they won't think of anybody. If you just said, whom do you know who's thinking about buying or selling real estate in this market that I should be helping, they may have told you nobody. If you say, who are the 2 people that come to mind, they're top of mind when you think of buying or selling real estate in this market that I should be helping, then they'll give you 1. You guys get it?
Yes. Okay. So remember, these calls on the scale of comfort, I guess I would say, should be pretty comfortable. Maybe not the first or second time you do it, but to Tim's point, the more you do it, the more consistent. Not just the more consistent your results will be, but the more comfortable you will become. And they'll be waiting for you.
And so here's what you guys, most of you are going to do. You're going to say, well, that was good. That was easy. I can do that. Then you're going to try to basically make a video and send it to everybody. You're going to do a Facebook post and
you're going to be a textaholic. And
you're going to text it. You're going to do everything possible other than the main thing what we told you. Look, screw up the script. Say it completely wrong, but you pick up the phone. And
that's voice to voice, not pick up the phone to text or make a video. Voice to voice.
That's right. And will you do
It
it?
makes a huge difference.
It does, because everybody else is doing the passive crap.
Yes.
Everybody else is doing the videos and the texting and the Facebooking and the Twitter twatting and all the rest of it. Okay?
Now, but here's the thing, Tim. In order for this to be a strong spoke, they have to do more of it more frequently than they think.
Well, so I'm suggesting that you take your list, however many people you have. In our coaching program, we help you create your list. And let's say you end up with 100 people. Not a lot, but not too bad. Then you're going to say you're going to work an average of 5 days per week. So you're going to work 20 days per month. You're going to take your list of 100 people and you're going to actually contact 5 people a day. Okay, now you can leave voicemails, but we strongly encourage you not to leave voicemails because you obviously won't get any leads. So make 5 contacts a day.
You might have to dial 15 times, but
Right.
you want 5. What is a contact? A conversation with a decision-making adult about real estate.
So you're going to go through your list. You're going to have your 100-person list set up. You're going to keep dialing until you make 5 contacts, talk to 5 adults, deliver the script 5 times. And what you're going to do is you're going to do that every single day. If you do that every single work day, and you set in your calendar that you're going to call whoever you talk to today, you're going to call them the same day of the following month. After you've done it for 3 or 4 months in a row, you're going to have a system. And this system costs you a total of nothing. A total of nothing. To make 15 dials and to do what I just asked you to do will probably take realistically maybe 30 or 40 minutes a day. But you have 30 or 40 minutes a day easily to make these calls.
By the way, they don't get to complain about not having phone numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't look, if you guys want to have actual control of your business in your future, you have to do the actual work to earn the right to have actual control. And this is how you do it. And this is the reason that we always encourage everyone to have this as their first spoke. Because remember, your centers of influence and past clients hopefully are people that, actually know, love, and care about you. Right?
Yes,
Your mom, your old neighbors, your new neighbors, people you know in church, your vet.
And in fact, those same people think it's kind of weird if you don't talk about
That's
real
right.
estate.
That's right.
Don't alienate them, because what do they think? You're either not in real estate anymore and you're too embarrassed to talk about it. You are too busy to talk to them. You don't do anything with their neighborhood or their price range.
You're too lazy.
Or maybe you've got some weird thing about
Right.
them, and maybe they said something, and so you're weird about it.
So what she's trying to impress upon you is what is an absolute psychological fact. You are in real estate. You sell real estate. If you do not talk to your centers of influence and past clients about real estate, they're going to eventually feel rejected. You think you're doing it because you don't want to come off as pushy. And then when those people do business with somebody else because that other person asked them, you're going to realize how really what you were doing is being lazy and trying to protect your ego from being perceived as a salesperson.
Yeah, you should never be one of those grouchy, pissed off agents when you find out that, my past client did business with somebody else.
Right.
Well, guess what? There's nothing saying that they are your proprietary past client. And if you haven't been talking with them, they shouldn't have listed with you. I mean, I really feel that way. I really feel you have no business.
You didn't earn the right to have the
it.
business. That's
Yeah,
it.
you shouldn't complain about it. It's no, you don't have that right.
But think about
fix that.
But think about the insanity of what I just said.
Yeah.
The script is simple, the process
Totally.
is simple, doing the work is simple. It takes virtually no time to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And when these guys go and list properties from having done what we just asked them to do, the amount of money they can make, and yet they won't do it. If you guys were to go get a job working at Starbucks and you're working a 6-hour day, you'd work approximately 5,000 times as hard as what I just asked you to do, and yet you won't do it. And that's why some of you do end up working at Starbucks, because you weren't willing to do the work. That's the truth.
Yeah, and then, we also in coaching teach a lot of icing to that cake, right? Past client, center of influence, events and different things. Now we have less of that with COVID, but there are still iterations of that. One of our clients just had Buy or Sell with Me, Adopt a Pet for Free Day. And she had a little free dog wash in her neighborhood. Already took a listing in her neighborhood from that event. She did some press releases to her local paper.
But that sounds like real work. So this lady had to wash the neighbor's dogs?
Well, no, she had a what was it called? The Pup Mobile or something
the mobile
like that.
dog washing thing?
Yeah. And then
that's a good
with
idea.
The Humane Society in conjunction and adopted some pets, and it was pretty cool. So, and she already has results from that. I think she did that event 2 weeks ago. A lot of you guys are doing the wrapping paper project, which doesn't have a ton of contact to it if you're in one of the COVID zones, right? So you can add different things to make your calls even better so they know who you are when you show up. And that's pretty exciting. This, it's super fun. And this isn't just for newbies either. I talked to one of our, grizzled veteran experienced agents today. She did $65 million in volume, most of it from repeat referral past clients. And we speculated what would happen if, in addition to what she hadn't been doing so far with them, in other words, she does a pretty good job, but she can do more. If she were to simply make 3 contacts a day, every work day, what her business would be like next year.
So here's the fun part. That's an agent making, let's say, $1.5 to $1.7 million a year in income, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a slacker agent.
No,
and she's realizing that she needs to be adding better spokes to her wheel. And by the way, that's a conversation that's going to go on if your entire career in every industry you're in. Most businesses are essentially beholden to only like maybe 2 or 3 sources of business. And sometimes those sources of business are interlocked. And when one fails, they all fail. So you got to be really careful on that. That's the reason that the spokes that we prescribe for all of you to create for your wheel are not necessarily interdependent on each other. If one thing fails, the others still work.
And we're going to talk about those other sources tomorrow. It's just that your past client center of influence database, that's such an integral part. And, to your point, that it's not newbies and it's not just grizzled veterans. It's really everybody. Do you remember the event we did a few years ago, I think it was the top 100 in real estate? And we asked somebody that had over 3,000 past clients on stage, this was a panel, and we asked all of them, what is the number one thing that you would have done differently looking back at your vast career?
I actually remember the agent that was asked that. His name was Greg Newman. Mm-hmm. He was in San Diego. This is an event we did in Laguna Beach at the Montage. Mm-hmm. And he was, I think still is, the number one agent in San Diego. Yep. I mean, if not, he's just right up
forever.
there. Yeah, great guy, fantastic guy. Julie and I've known him for how long? We've known him for probably 25 years.
Probably.
And that was the thing he said. He said, I have never really done a diligent job calling my center of influence and past clients. And I thought that was a good, just honest answer. And pretty much everyone in the audience was guilty of the same thing. Right.
And he also added to that, if I recall correctly, that his belief was he would have spent far less money on widgets and wadgets and marketing, and because he said, I was busy trying to create new deals when I should have been paying attention more to people who already did deals with me.
That's right.
And that he felt that he would have spent a lot less money trying to recreate the lead system.
Now, it cannot be your only spoke. And this is where the fallacy of the centers of influence and past client-based business falls.
And we're going to talk about more of those tomorrow.
Just to emphasize this before we're around the bend, I know there are people out there. I know that there are coaching companies out there that's what they try to emphasize with you. And it is good advice to have that be your first spoke. But the ultimate fallacy with having a center of influence and past client-based business, it is not duplicatable and is not predictable. If you cannot control whether your efforts that particular day, week, or month are going to generate any leads, because all you're doing is raining love on your centers of influence and past clients. And eventually you get the list itself, unless you're constantly growing, it gets oversaturated. Now, again, we want you to do that as your first thing. We want you to avoid the tchotchkes, and we want you to focus on the calls. Let everyone else drop off the pumpkin pies. Let everyone else drop off the forget-me-not seeds and all the other tchotchkes.
But it can't be your only spoke.
Right.
I mean, look at it this way. What if your spouse gets relocated?
Well, exactly.
They want your list.
They want your business, and you have no skills. Right. And your skills is basically mailing junk. That's your skill that you get from essentially. So you start with that. It doesn't take long for you to form it. You can put your center of influence and past client plan in place following our coaching in a week. It's done. Start making the calls. Then after that, you have to learn the real skills-based thing. And then once you've mastered the skills-based thing, not 100%, but once you've got it up to 90%, then you add another spoke. And then after a while, you're going to have 3 or 4 spokes, and those spokes are going to create something that is predictable, is duplicatable. You're going to be able to, every single day, know that you can set a pre-qualified listing appointment. That's where you start to create consistent cash flow. That's where you start to create tremendous wealth. And I mean wealth in the truest sense, because you're not going to be so prone or even remotely interested in the gimmicks, because you know you can without. You don't need them, because you can wake up every single day and set your own pre-qualified listing appointment every single day. Let all the other agents give all their commission away because they haven't learned how or been willing to learn how to be proactive lead generators. So that's your prerogative, and I want you to think about this as you're completing your real estate treasure map. So to round the bend, if you've not downloaded your treasure map, just text 2021 to 855-685-1045. text 2021 to 855-685-1045. And if you want to talk to Julie and I about having us sponsor you at eXp Realty, text me directly at 512-758-0206. 512-758-0206. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.